And welcome to Esports Vikings podcast. I don't even know what number it is
I
anymore.
was just about to say, I have no idea if it's like 10 or 30 at this point. So,
I think it might be. Let's see. I think it's number 20.
oh, really? It
Yeah,
is. Oh,
yeah, it is number 20 actually.
that's pretty crazy to be
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
getting you
that's
right.
big.
But
Yeah,
so we have talked a lot of bullshit for 20 episodes and
yeah,
or
getting
19, and
crazier and
let's go.
crazier.
It's kind of getting off the rails at this point, but at least we don't have Temo here, so it should be a little bit more
Yeah, I think it's serious fun this time because I
very
don't know.
possible.
Teemu has some effect on us. It makes us crazy.
I feel like I always want to argue with him, even though I agree with him, it's fun to just put in a few words because I know it gets him triggered. I can't help myself. But
Yeah.
either way, we have a shit ton of CS:GO to talk about today, so I think we should dive right into it because I have no idea how many games this is, but it's a lot.
Yeah, because we will have a winner of both ESL Pro Leagues in this weekend. We also have Flashpoint uh, playoffs going on. We have Home Sweet Home uh, first week champion crowned in Sunday, and of course some League of Legends action too. So there is
Definitely.
a lot to talk about. So I
Yeah,
think
the
it's
thing
good that
is,
Teemu isn't here, so we don't have to argue with him.
true, and I mean, we could throw in some Dota 2 here as well, but
Yeah,
I
of course.
think, we'll
Actually, we should.
I think we have too much now, so
Yeah.
we can wait with that because the group stages are still going, and we can probably discuss that when we get closer
Yeah.
to the playoffs or
Let's
possibly when
see.
the group
Let's
stages are.
see what time it is when we get all the CS:GO talked about. So
Yeah,
maybe if we have
let's do
time,
that
we can show some Dota action too.
for sure. Sounds good to me. So we have obviously every day we start with ESL Pro League, so let's
Yeah.
continue the tradition. Yesterday we had the three last games of the group stages, and fair to say they were really important. Besides the one between FaZe and OG, maybe we can get that out of the way. So we had FaZe and OG just fighting basically about the fifth spot and not ending last, right? So
Yeah.
FaZe managed to win 2-0, but it was 16-13, 16-12. Watched all of this game, and it was really, really, really close. And at one point, it really felt like OG was actually pulling through and definitely could have at least won one of the maps, like without a doubt. So I think these two teams are actually quite evenly matched. Even though I favored FaZe, I still believe they are slightly better. But OG is definitely getting there, and as we mentioned before, this group is. If you want to call something death, this group
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, what
So
happened to
OG,
what happened to Isa? He has like
yeah,
47 ADR and minus 21.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. I think this was quite obvious when watching the game as well. I mean, it always gets a little bit more obvious just looking at
Yeah.
stats, if somebody doesn't get the kills and so on.
Yeah.
But Issa and NBK both had a very tough time, and especially on, I think, the second map, Mirage, NBK, he had 8 frags in total, and that is over
Ouch.
28 rounds. So definitely not a good day in the office for those two. But I do think that OG can be pretty proud overall over their performance here, even though they only get one win.
Yeah.
It's definitely they made it close. Every single series they had was pretty close. They could have picked up a few more maps than they did, but. Hey, it's still a good result. Like it really is, and I think FaZe is the team who cannot be happy with this result, even though I can say the same thing about FaZe. I think they played close series, but they are a team who should aspire to go through. So that's about it about those two teams, I think.
Yeah, I actually think this is a good thing one for OG because now they have shown that they can compete and they have they have trust in themselves that they can compete, but they don't have the extra pressure from the fans for the upcoming tournaments because they still didn't place in the top 4 or top 3 or top 2 in this tournament, so they can
sure.
be a little bit more relaxed in the upcoming tournaments, and they can grow their performance little by little. And if they did overperformance here, it would be a lot more pressure for the upcoming tournaments.
Hey, sure. And I mean, this is kind of it should work as a very big confidence boost going up against the best teams in the world, because I think a lot of other teams that I would have ranked on the same level as OG, let's say a month ago, they don't really even get the chance to play this many games against the top teams in the world. And also when they do, they kind of often get smashed, right? So you probably feel pretty bad about, going up against an Astralis or Fnatic or Navi right now if you're in that situation. But OG has shown that they can do it, and this should really, really boost them for the future, because
definitely.
Everything is possible. Like, I mean, even if we were going into, let's say, a major, OG could look at it and say we can win this thing.
Yep.
On a good day they can beat anybody, and that's a very, very good sign.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked quite a long time about a game that didn't matter at all, but OG is an interesting subject.
Yeah.
And with that said, let's move on to the two games that actually did matter. So we can start with Navi Fnatic, and this was basically a game for winning the group. Especially, well, Fnatic actually, they were already secured to be in the playoffs. I'm not exactly sure how all the math worked out. We discussed it a bit yesterday, but apparently Fnatic, they were at least already in the playoffs, but they could still win the group. And winning the group means you go straight to the grand final, which obviously is a big deal. So you don't have to play a semi-final against a very, very strong team, whoever it is. But I think in this game, Fnatic really, really showed once again that they are probably the best team in the world right now.
Yeah, I
Maybe
would say
Astral, like, it's crazy. It's crazy for me to say. I never believed this team would be this good. I thought them getting into top 5, top 3 is an amazing accomplishment already. But at this point, I can't say anything else. They play amazing Counter-Strike, and they also have individuals who can step up every game. And it doesn't have to be, a specific player. It can be anybody. All of these players can step up massively during one map, but they also have a very, very consistent level where everybody performs. So very impressed by Fnatic. And just to mention, they won 16-13 and 16-9, which, I don't know, it looked quite convincing. They did a huge comeback on the first map, Inferno, which was pretty cool to watch. It was really old school Fnatic, grinding out CT rounds like madmen. I think they won something like 12 CT rounds and lost 2. They looked absolutely, they just locked it down. And that's something that Fnatic used to do back in their, golden days, and it was impressive.
Yeah, I want to like have one point about Fnatic. And as you know, we are playing online, and most of the teams are playing from their home countries or even their homes. But I think I'm pretty sure that Fnatic is playing from their company headquarters, and they are like secured good internet. They are secured a place where they can play together. And I know that Navi is not playing together. They are playing from their homes, and they have had some ping issues and things like that. And I think this is something that organizations will think about for the future, that should they have headquarters, should they have a office where they can play if things like this happen. And like I know that Fnatic has big headquarters in Berlin, and I'm 99% sure that they have room for a CS:GO team there, and that is something that most of the CS:GO teams doesn't have, because they are moving around the world playing in offline tournaments, and that is something that is not like usual in the CS:GO. But for example, League of Legends, every team has their own headquarters or their gaming house, and that's something that is normal there. And this is organizations that have the headquarters for the Dota or League of Legends, and they have the advantage in these situations, because they can go and play there and be together, and they don't have issue with ping, because those headquarters has the best possible internet there is available.
Definitely, and I do think really what you say is true, that we'll see more of that in the future, and maybe it's not as much, for predicting a new pandemic, but
Yep.
there can be other reasons, there can be a bunch of reasons, and a lot of times, you play a lot of qualifiers online and stuff like this, right? And
Yeah.
maybe that doesn't apply to the top 5 teams in the world, but they can also end up in that situation, and then it's obviously important. And I definitely think that this will have an effect on the
Yeah.
future for those situations.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think that is something that has made the Fnatic the best team there is right now. I think there is not that many CS:GO teams that has their own place where to play right now. I think Astralis have, Fnatic have, but I don't know if there is any other teams that have their own headquarters where they can play.
Sure. Speaking of Astralis, apparently that helped them yesterday against Small Sports,
Yeah.
because this game is a very, very special one. I have no idea, how should I possibly, analyze this game and make get it to make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because Astralis played against Mouse Sports, and we actually saw Mouse Sports as a potentially small favorite here. Of course, a close game. There's no doubt about that. I definitely favored Mouse Sports. I think they have been on a super hot streak lately, and yeah, we the first map was 16-3 to Astralis. Okay, that was Astralis' map pick, and it was like, okay, well, shit happens, it really does.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
And Inferno is
you know,
snowball also. If you get a good start, you can snowball your lead
yeah,
with
exactly.
Inferno.
Like
Yeah.
it happens. It happens. One team just rolls with it, and it's a blowout. But then we went to Dust 2, which is Mouse Sports pick, and quite frankly, Mouse Sports has been very, very good on it. Uh, well, it ended 16-1 to Astralis.
Yeah, that is devastating.
Tell me how that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so bad, and it's even more bad when you think that these teams will be playing again tomorrow, and they will be playing.
Yeah. Well,
So
so the theory is this, right? Most sports knew that Fnatic is stronger than Navi and they would win.
yeah,
So they would plant a seed in Astralis' mind in this game that they are bad because they have a rematch coming up,
yeah,
and then most sports will just smash them. That's the
yeah,
theory.
yeah, and actually, I can believe that they don't want to show their like new strats in here because this game has pretty much no value for them. So
Well,
they didn't
that's
want to show their strats, but 16-3, 16-1 is still,
yeah.
even if you
It's
don't show
absolutely.
your strats, it's fucking horrible.
Well, I feel like, if me and you made a team with 3 random people we found on Reddit, we could
Mm,
probably pick up one run.
yeah.
Maybe not, but either way.
But yeah, we have a chance to get one around at least.
Yeah. No, but this was crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
there's really no way to analyze this or
yeah,
say anything about it. Astralis played great, obviously, but most sports didn't. And Astralis really, it just looked like every time they saw a head, they clicked it, and that's it. They just killed everything that moved, and there was just nothing most sports could do. It's also very interesting to note that Kerrigan, who is a former Astralis player,
mm.
he had 10 frags in 2 maps. It's bad on one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to say. That's like, I don't know if I've ever even seen that on this level. Of course
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
happens, but on this level,
Yeah.
10 frags in 2 maps. There's nothing to say. Of course, Mouse Sports themselves know this was absolutely embarrassing. But the thing is still this, that this is just one game. Mouse Sports fucked it up, but they can still, or they are in the playoffs and they will play Astralis again.
Yeah.
So I really hope that Mouse Sports just turns this around, forgets about this game, maybe not forgets about it as in not analyzing it, but that they show a better face when we get to the,
Yeah.
well, basically the semi-final of the ESL Pro League, because Mouse Sports is a really good team.
Yep, definitely.
I don't care that they lost this game. This is embarrassing, but they are still a great team, and they can definitely beat Astralis. They have shown that, and I'm really looking forward to it, because if there was ever a team that wants revenge, it's probably Mouse Sports for this fiasco. I can't remember when I've seen a team get 4 rounds in 2 maps on this level.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it's so hard for me to believe that Mouseboards is this bad, even in their bad day. It's so hard for me to believe, but also it's hard for me to believe that these type of players would go to server and didn't give their best. So
Sure,
yeah,
definitely.
whatever happened in this game, both of the scenarios is hard for me to understand and hard for me to believe. So this is
Yep.
some bizarre stuff.
It really is, but then again, I just want to mention, because I'm talking so much about mouse sports and excusing them or something. I mean, Astralis were as much on fire as you can be. This was the Astralis we see sometimes. You know, they can go this crazy. Like, they were hitting everything, but everything was also going their way. They did win some close clutches. They won some rounds that, you know, looked like they shouldn't have. But this is just what happens sometimes in CS:GO as well. I just want to put it out there. This happens sometimes. For an example, Astralis themselves, they lost to Navi in Katowice, you know, 16-5, 16-5.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that either team is, you know, the best one in the world or the other one is total garbage. It happens. And well, with all that said, I just really, really look forward to a rematch, because the story leading up to it is really bizarre, you know. Can Mousesports come back and win when they just lost with these numbers? And I believe they can, but it's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, and Matt is getting 2.0 rating is like that's amazing, even in this kind of game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just insane numbers. There's nothing else to really say, but
yeah, maybe we should look up the weekend's games. So we
actually,
are having.
yeah, I was just looking at, because I didn't look before, at the odds for the rematch, and I mean, I think it is quite interesting that
Holy shit!
betting operators, yeah, they are putting Mousesports as 3 times the money or more in most cases.
Yeah,
And
that's
honestly,
something we should tweet about, I think.
I think so, because I mean, I understand they just got absolutely demolished, but I think this is still CS:GO, and this kind of things happens all the time. It really does. I don't think this one game is that valuable as these odds predict. I'm really
Yeah,
curious.
definitely not. And
I
Mousesports
really
has
want to check
been
some
good.
more.
Mm.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
if we look the whole EPL, these teams has been like pretty close to each other, and they
For
are
sure.
having pretty much the same performance throughout the tournament. So one bad game or one good game, it doesn't make this big of a difference.
It really doesn't. This is way too much, and I understand if somebody is not familiar with CS:GO or maybe betting on CS:GO, they could, you know, easily think that we are talking some bullshit here, because look at the score, you know.
Yeah.
But that's just not how the game works. And also, let like I can fucking promise that most sports will get more than 4 rounds next time. Okay, like
Yeah.
if they don't get more than 4 rounds next time, I promise to eat my sock on stream. Okay,
Yeah.
like that's a promise.
Yeah, actually, this is pretty interesting because most sports has like over 3 times the money, but Astralis still have like 1.4, 1.5 even, and they are not like super favorites if you look just their odds. But if you look mouse sports odds, you would say Astralis is a big favorite. So there is like, if you believe in Astralis, there is still some money to be made in this. If you get 1.5
No, sure.
with the game, that your opponent has over 3 times the money. So it's actually pretty good odds for both of these teams.
I don't know. It's gonna be super interesting, but I'm gonna check through most or more betting operators. I saw 3 now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody would offer a little bit more if that's the case,
Yeah.
and that's honestly that's crazy to me. But then again, I understand some people might think it's hard to, you know, to put out some reasoning for those odds being good, looking at the result. But it's just CS:GO is very random, and day to day can change
Yeah.
a lot, and these teams are just very close, no matter how it went last time. But with that said, I think ESL Pro League is done. We have talked about it already for a long time, but then again, of course, it's very interesting, and there's a lot to talk about. So
But
that's the reason.
who do you think that will win? First is this game, and the winner will go against Fnatic. What do you think that will happen?
The thing is this: I really believe that if most, let's say, like if Mouse Sports wins against Astralis, I think Fnatic will beat Mouse Sports in the final. But if we see this level of Astralis again one more time against Mouse Sports, then I really have to give them some credit for being in amazing form. If they can reproduce like a game this good, then I think we are in for a very, very, very close final. Still, I guess at some level, I kind of. The thing is, it's best of 5 as well.
Yeah, I was just going to check if it's best of 5. Yeah, it's best of 5.
Honestly, I'm gonna say that I actually will favor Astralis in the final if they get very, very slightly. Fnatic has looked very, very good. I just think that Astralis is such a good team. They are good on all maps, and they just know how to win.
And they are kings of best of 5.
Yeah, I really see it as, because it's funny, because I can see Mouse Sports winning against Astralis, but I really see Astralis winning in the final if they actually get there. I don't know, it's pretty... It's like some backwards logic or a triangle or something going on here, but yeah, I really think that if Astralis goes there, they will win. If Mouse Sports goes there, Fnatic wins. Okay.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yep.
But yeah, let's move to ESL Pro League NA.
Yes, sir.
We had one game yesterday.
Yeah, this obviously didn't go as we expected either. Or expected, I would say. I actually said that Furia is my favorite, but we still thought that the 2.5s the money on MIBR was pretty good. And quite honestly, this is kind of interesting because these teams have played against each other before, and all of the maps that time were basically blowouts. It was like 16-4, 16-6, 16-8. We ended up here with Vertigo as the first map, and this is, I don't know, MIBR picked Vertigo, and they lost 16-4.
That's unforgivable.
Yeah, I just feel like, because at least from what I've seen, I haven't seen MIBR play Vertigo, and I think they picked it because they lost 2 maps so hard against Furia last time, so they wanted to do something new, and, basically throw a curveball at the Furia. It definitely didn't work, because the interesting part is as well that MIBR started on T side, and honestly, like, Vertigo is very T-sided if you're a good Vertigo team, I see a lot of lower tier teams where the CT side actually seems to be favored, but that's because those teams are not very, playing well strategically on the map. So for better teams, the T side is favored, and since MIBR picked the map and started on the T side, picking up 4 rounds as T on your map pick, that's so bad. I have no idea what to say. And you can just look at the score. I mean, it ended 16-4. So look at the scores. KNG, Mayan, and Taco, they have 5, 5, and 4 frags. We played 20 rounds of Counter-Strike here, boys. I mean, this is not even close. They got absolutely destroyed.
Mayan has 31.9 ADR. How does that happen?
Look, I watched the second map. I didn't watch this one, though. Yeah. So I don't know how it played out, but I can just imagine that looking at these numbers, MIBR had no strategy, no good flashes, no good support. People couldn't even get damage in the rounds because they just got destroyed. And that only happens if you don't have good tactics. There's no way, on Vertigo, when you attack the sites, if you have good smokes, good flashes, you will do damage. You might lose, but you will do damage. This just shows that they ran into the bomb sites and just died, straight up. And that's because of bad tactics. It must be.
Yeah, and in Vertigo, you should do 30 damage per round with your Molotov or frag grenades.
Yeah, it's actually kind of true. So, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. But then again, we went on to a second map in Mirage, which is Furious map pick, which I'm a little bit confused about that. I think they have done it in the past, but MIBR is pretty good on Mirage. So I was pretty surprised overseeing this map pick. It got very close, but like when I watched the game, MIBR really didn't deserve to be this close. They were behind, let me check. They were behind 14-9. Furia was up 14-9. Then MIBR won 5 out of the 6 next rounds on the T side, and they almost came back. And this is the thing: when they were at that point, they should have won the last round to make it overtime, but they didn't. And during this stretch, there was a 1-on-4. I turned off my stream because I was like, okay, this is over. Fallen was in a 1-on-4 in B apps with an AWP and nothing. I have no idea how he won that because I didn't even check it. I just know he did. So, look, the thing is this. Okay, that's good and all. Like, clap, Fallen. But the truth is that MIBR should have lost this faster. This should have been a 16-9, 16-10 game for Furia. They were better. Then they just couldn't close it out until the very, very end. So I'm not going to make any excuses here for MIBR because I really believe they will make it closer, but it really wasn't. And at this point, we just have to give the crown to Furia as the best South American team. MIBR is still not good enough.
But I don't fucking get it. The Mirage has been played as a decider map for their last best of 3 series. So why would you pick Mirage and why would you pick Vertigo? This is playoffs game. This is where you have to win. This is where it counts. And why would you pick map you don't know how to play? And why would you pick a map that both of the teams are good at? Like, yeah, I don't get these picks. I just don't get it because I would understand if this was like a group stage game, both are going through and we just want to play something. But this is playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think these are very, very odd map picks in general. And I don't know. I mean, I would assume these teams play each other a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe they know something we don't, but this looks very, very odd to me. And I mean, I'm not gonna give them the credit just because they are, decent teams and say they probably know what they're doing. Because here I actually feel like they probably fucking don't.
Yeah, and this is like something that if you scream a lot with other team because pretty much they don't have any other teams in South America where they can like compete really. So I can guess that these teams scream a lot with each other, and this is something that that goes to your head. You want to surprise your opponent, and this is like surprising things going too far, and I think that just was not okay in this level.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at least for the Vertigo pick, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it really doesn't. And I don't want to be Mr. Hindsight and sit here and say it was a bad pick just because they lost. But looking at how it played out, it's fucking clear that they don't know how to play the map.
Yeah.
Like, there's not even anything to discuss there. Yeah, I don't know. Too bad. I think MIBR still, to defend the betting tip, I suppose, I think they could have, done better on other maps. And also with the Mirage went to 16-14, it could have ended differently. I think that's where it comes in. Like we said, we do favor Furia slightly, but I still believe the 2.5 was actually pretty good, even looking at how it played out. So, I think the map pick from MIBR, you can't predict that shit. So, there we go.
But yeah, we have 3 games this weekend until we have the champion. We will have the winners match Liquid against Evil Geniuses today, and the loser of that game will face Furia tomorrow, and the winners of these games will go to grand final.
Yes, boy. So this is something we have kind of discussed before, the Liquid EG matchup.
We did talk about it yesterday, I think.
Oh, did we?
I know we
I just know that we have talked about it as in terms of last time they played each other.
Yeah.
And that was a super, super fun game. I watched that best of 3, and it ended up being a Liquid win because apparently Evil Geniuses can't win against Liquid. It's actually it must be getting frustrating for them as well. I think we're up to something like 5-6 best of 3s in a row where they lost, where it's current lineups, right? And the last game they played in ESL Pro League, it was Evil Geniuses winning 16-14, first map, and then it was 16-13 and 22-19 to Liquid, or maybe yeah, that's how it was. Yeah. So I once again, for a lot of the same reasons as last time, I think Liquid are the favorites, but EG definitely has what it takes to beat them. They have shown that every single time. It's just that they, for whatever reason, they can't go all the way and just close the game out. I don't know. It's surprising how many times this happens to them. I really think that EG has the skill. Their level is as high as Liquid's. I really believe it is. It's just when they play each other, Liquid seems to be the big brother.
Yeah, and those teams have played 2 times this year. Both of the games has gone the third map, and both of the games have had a 1 overtime. So it's very close.
It definitely is. There's no doubt about it. And the thing is that I really think that eventually Evil Genius is gonna pull out a win, right? It's bound to happen. They are very close. So if we talk about odds, I think this should be very close, but I think the odds that we see right now, which are about 1.6, 1.7 at Liquid and 2.1, 2.2 at EG, that's exactly what it should be.
Yeah.
I think if you could get upwards of 240, 250 EG, then I changed my mind, and I think that's actually pretty good.
I think 250 would be great.
Yeah, I would definitely take that. I just don't think anybody offers that much anymore. So there apparently was somebody who did.
Buff seems to have that, but I don't know how updated the HLTV is.
I'm actually gonna check because I'm very curious. Because if they actually still have those odds, I think that's actually very. I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
I wish. Oh, they actually do have 250 still. I definitely think that is good. Yeah, I'm gonna actually throw out a tweet about it straight away because that will change. Like I can guarantee you, the odds line this should be at 2.2. Like that's totally fine, but it's definitely too much with 250, no doubt about it.
Yeah. What would be better place to win than this EPL NA playoffs? So I hope EG will bring their best game today, and actually that would be nice to see Liquid going to losers bracket and have to fight their way to the finals. I actually would enjoy that. I don't think that Furia has any chance against either of these teams, but
I agree. Well, I wouldn't say no chance.
Necessarily, but it's pretty harsh. But both of these teams are heavy favorites against Furia.
Yeah, I think both of these teams should be at about 1.3, 1.4 favorite or so against Furia, because Furia has really good days where they can perform and they have a chance, but definitely far from a favorite. And it's very likely that we will see Liquid EG face in the final as well. Yeah. So we'll get a lot of Liquid and EG by the looks of it. So I'm just going to throw out this tweet. If you want to keep on talking about, we're jumping over to Flashpoint next,
we can go to Flashpoint.
Cool.
All in all, we can see maximum of 8 maps of Liquid EG, and that's something I look forward to.
Well, the funny thing is as well that it's quite likely that we will see all of those maps.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Which is very fun,
but yeah, I will go to Flashpoint. You can tweet something.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I'll need a minute.
Yeah, I'm more than okay. But yeah, Flashpoint is on playoffs stage. We had 2 series yesterday. We will have 2 series today. Yesterday, Mad Lions beat Fun Plus Phoenix, as we predicted, 16-14 and 16-2. So the first one, the nuke, was a little bit tighter than we might have expected, but the second one is more what we thought about. So Mad Lions having a very good day. Fun Plus Phoenix, well, we didn't predict them to win this and even having a chance pretty much. So they did actually better than I thought with 14 rounds in nuke. But all in all, Mad Lions go forward, and then FunPlus Phoenix will continue their games in lower bracket, as you can see, and then they will be facing tomorrow Gen G, who lost to Cloud9 2-0 yesterday. And those games were pretty close. Cloud9 winning 19-17 and 16-13. So
All right, I'm back as well. So
yeah, I'm on Cloud9 Gen G already.
Yeah, well, you probably already talked about the Mad Lions game, right?
Yeah,
but
not much to talk about there.
Yeah, I think obviously it was a complete smash in the second map, but the first map was still competitive, and I think this kind of proves something, and it's that we were quite sure that Mad Lions would win this, and because they are the much better team.
Yeah.
But we were also discussing the 2-0 bet, right? And my opinion was, if you get double the money on 2-0 Mad Lions, that's good. But the odds were basically at 1.7 or so, and then it's a pass for me. And I think, like, I don't want to, this is basically confirmation bias at its best. But the 16-14 map at least kind of proves that FunPlus Phoenix weren't completely out of it, and they definitely could have picked up a map. But like, for sure that Mad Lions were gonna win this. That seemed obvious, but definitely, I guess at the end of the day, an easy win for Mad Lions, and FunPlus Phoenix has a lot.
Yeah, that C9 Gen C was a lot closer than the first one.
Yeah, that's actually super close. I did not watch this game, however, but that looks like a very interesting game. I actually think it's quite noteworthy on Vertigo. Cloud9 picked it, and both teams won 8-7 on their CT half, and that's something that doesn't happen too much, but that's basically like in tier 1 CS, that doesn't happen much because teams are good on the T side. I think on this level, or if we say tier 2 and tier 3, it's much closer, so it's quite interesting that. But yeah, I don't know. I favored Cloud9 slightly in this game, but it's super close. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Gen G won, and the score lines kind of reflect that too. It's super close, 19-17, 16-13. I mean,
I hope we will see these teams clashing again in these playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I think evenly matched teams, just in general. I think, but then again, I really think that this Cloud9 team has something I like. They seem to do very good work in how they approach the game, and I like that a lot. So I keep probably overrating them a little bit because of that, but I see very good signs from this team.
Yeah, and today we'll have two games. We will have Havu against Chaos and MIBR against Orgless.
All right, so I think it's very, very, very fair to say that Havu goes in as a huge favorite against Chaos. There isn't really much else to say. I think Chaos has picked up one series win, and that was against Gen G, which in itself obviously sounds pretty good, but then they have lost like every other series, and Havu has been looking better and better, actually. Like, not that they've been bad at any point, but I still think they have put in yet another gear coming into phase 2. And I don't know, Havu, it's really hard to see them lose this, but I still wouldn't trust Havu enough to pick up like 1.3 odds either. I don't know about that one. I think it's probably fair odds, and Havu should have it, but there could definitely be an off day every here and there for everybody. So
yeah, and there is a possibility for Chaos to take one map, because I think their Mirage is on point, and it's not very strong point for Havu, same as Inferno. So there is no possibility that Havu could ban out both of those, because those are almost most played maps for Chaos, and they are the least favorite for Havu. So I think Havu will have to play one map where they are not that comfortable.
Sure, that sounds very reasonable, and yeah, Havu favored, but I don't see any value in any of the bets, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's at least. And then we have, so MIBR Orgless. Wow. how do you call it? I'm so disappointed in MIBR. I keep on believing in
Yeah.
them, and they keep on disappointing.
I was just going to say
Honestly,
that it's 1.3 favorite, but when you look at their yesterday's gameplay, you can't like you can't be sure which their form is right now.
no, that's true. And at the same time, I definitely feel that orgless or hopeless, worthless, they, a
Yeah,
loved baby has a lot of names or whatever they say. And I don't think that orgless is as bad as these odds make them out to be.
yep.
Actually, I think
I agree with that.
orgless has done a pretty good job with. They won against Dignitas. They were playing close games against Cloud9 and then Dignitas again. I think they did fairly well, and abusing MIBR when they are down on their knees could be a thing, honestly.
Yeah,
It was,
their
well,
last match was 2-0 for MIPR, but
it was a close one, though.
yeah,
So, no, I honestly, like, this is where people have to probably understand how odds work to understand where I'm
yeah,
coming from. Because yesterday I wanted you to bet on MIBR against Furia, and now I want you to bet on Orgles against MIBR. It sounds like it doesn't make any sense. It's just that the odds are so high, one way or another. And honestly, I think if you can get like 3.5 almost on Orgles, that actually sounds pretty good to me.
yeah. And
I
I feel pretty hard towards Orcles during this Flashpoint season, but I actually think they have been playing pretty good overall. They've had
yeah, I
their
mean,
off days, but still their overall gameplay has been pretty good.
yeah, I mean, obviously we don't have like super high expectations on a team like
Yeah,
Orgles, right? And I think you know, looking at those expectations and how they have performed, they actually have kind of surprised me that they are fairly good. Not only the players are fairly skilled themselves, but they also play pretty good CS, and that might be enough against MIBR right now. And I think the odds should be like 2.7, 2.8 somewhere for Orgles. They are an underdog. They should be an underdog. But 3.5 times the money sounds very interesting to me on this one.
I think Orcles definitely won the lottery in the playoff draft because other teams they could have faced was Bad Lions, Cloud9 or Havu, and
100%.
they are facing MIBR, so that's huge for them.
Yeah, that is absolutely a great point. They are already the winners just by the draw.
Yeah.
All right. Now I lost myself. Where are we?
Yeah, we are in the Flashpoint uh, playoffs, and we are having a lot more games during this weekend. We are having Fun Plus Phoenix against Genji, we're having Mad Lions against Cloud9, and two other games that will be decided today.
I see. So Fun plus Phoenix Genji. I mean, I suppose Genji just has to be quite a big favorite here. I'm not impressed by this Fun plus Phoenix team,
Yeah.
and Genji, even though they are playing under my expectations, they are still just on paper they are better. I think
Yeah.
so. I don't really have much else.
And you can get over 1.6 in their victory, so
Yeah.
they are not as heavy favorites as I would have thought.
Yeah, I would have definitely expected more along the lines of 1.4, maybe 1.5, but over 1.6 definitely strikes me as pretty agreed. So then we have Mad Lions Cloud. I mean, I think this is. It's funny, the odds are pretty much exactly the same here as in the Gen G game.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit lower for Mad Lions potentially, but I have a really hard time seeing Cloud9 having any chance here. It's just that I definitely give Cloud9 some kind of hope to win against
Yeah.
Mad Lions, even though I think Mad Lions is the best team in the tournament. I don't think I would give that benefit to many other teams. Mad Lions are too good for that, but there is a small chance. But odds-wise, same here. If you can get 1.6 on Mad Lions, I would take that any day. I see Pinnacle.
Can you check the Pinnacle?
Yeah,
Do they
it's
really
lower
have
to
1.6?
No, it's lower to 154.
Yeah.
which I think is pretty much on point. I think the 164 I would take, 154 I really have to just I'll pass on that one.
Yeah, and I really struggle with Cloud9 2.5 or even 2.2. So
Yeah.
I struggle with that also. So this is hard game to bet.
Definitely agree. I think Mad Lions are quite a decent favorite, but there's definitely, there's a possibility for sure to go to 3 maps, and
Yeah.
whenever a series go to 3 maps, it's really hard to justify believing our game to go into 3 maps and justifying like 1.4 odds.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
it doesn't really work. Like it doesn't make much sense that way. And no, I'll pass on that one. But definitely, I would be surprised if Mad Lions doesn't bring it home.
Yeah, and probably our other uh, series are Chaos against loser of the MIPR Orkles and Havu against the winner of the MIPR Orkles. But we don't know the matchup yet, so no real point to discuss about that too much.
Yep, agreed. Maybe we should head over to another tournament.
Yeah.
We have, it's like a crazy amount of different tournaments going on in CS:GO.
It's so hard to keep track of all these. So
Yeah,
that's why we are talking about it, because you don't have to watch all the games, you just have to watch 1 hour of podcast to get all the 12 hours, 4 streams together action in one little package.
Definitely, and it's clearly way more interesting to listen to us than watch the games themselves anyway,
definitely.
so that's a good. So next tournament is Home Sweet Home that we have discussed a little bit, and obviously we have done so to some degree because we are sponsoring the tournament and it's exciting, and we are producing a lot of content on our website about this. We will do an article every day about the daily results, which will be one group that's being played every single day. And then we also at the same time do a preview for the upcoming group. And of course, in the playoffs, it will be about the games that have been played and the games that are upcoming. That makes sense.
Yeah, and we will have those daily articles all through the Easter also. So
yeah. So we have discussed yesterday groups A and B. Yesterday we had Group C that was played. And I think it's kind of fun that we went 5 out of 5 in our predictions and we nailed this group. But at the same time, I think it wasn't exactly any big surprises. The thing that struck me was that people in general were underestimating Japalenio, who definitely are a team that is pretty solid. They have picked up wins against some decent teams in the past, and they are also quite young, and they have a lot of potential, I think.
Yeah, they took some maps here too. So
yeah, they ended up winning their opening game against Movie Star Riders, which was our betting tip of the, and actually it was pretty good. I think the odds on Japalenio went basically from like 2.3, 2.4, all the way down to under 2.0, which shows that we actually had something to say in this one. We were kind of on point, and Movie Star Riders, I think they were basically favored because they have bigger names on paper, even though they're not bigger names besides Lowell, really. But the Swedes are pretty unknown, and people underestimated them, I think. So they ended up winning their opener with 16-4, by the way. So it wasn't a close game at all. They really smashed Movie Star right. Then in the second game, we had North Sprout. I mean, again, I think both of these teams, it's kind of weird that they played each other in the first round because it was quite clear on paper that North and Sprout are
all over the place in this tournament right
definitely.
now.
So this was weird that they played each other, but coming into this game, North was a pretty heavy favorite. Odds-wise, something like 1.5 on most sports books, and I think that was pretty fair. I definitely think that North is a favorite to potentially win the whole tournament, but they are definitely not consistent enough to be, more heavily favored than that. And they have had a lot of up and downs during the year and for many years, actually. But they did manage to win against Sprout 16-6 quite convincingly on Nuke. So that meant that meant that we went to a losers match between. Actually, the winners match is played first. So Japalenio and North went to the winners match, which we predicted so, but that was still a small surprise to many that Japalenio was there. The game was pretty interesting in itself. I actually did manage to watch most of it, and as much as North was pretty dominant on Vertigo, and I'm getting kind of tired of this Vertigo thing because it really feels like some teams just like playing it and some hate it, and they don't even practice. So a lot of times you see very one-sided games, and we did so here as well.
Yeah.
But Japalenio did something very funny on Overpass. So halftime, North was up 9-6 as CT on Overpass.
Yep.
Japalenio came back and won 10 straight rounds to win 16-9. I just have to give a shout out to Relaxa, who he killed everything. North honestly weren't even that close in picking up even one T round. I mean, sure, there was some, somewhat closer, but it was absolutely dominant. Japalenio's CT side on Overpass looks actually scary good because it's the same. They played Movie Star Riders on Overpass as well, and they smashed them. So, recommendation for whoever will play Japalenio in the future: ban Overpass.
Yeah, and 10 rounds in a row in CT side is something that you don't usually see. You almost never see that because it's so easy to get one round, one force buy or one kind round in T side, or even if you lose the pistols, you can force buy better in T side, and you can take the second round, and 10 rounds in a row. It's so huge in CT side.
I think so. I mean, I would definitely say that Overpass is still somewhat of a CT-sided map. But the thing is that when you're on the T side, you might lose quite a few rounds. But usually, if you get one opening, you get the opener kill, right?
Yep.
Then you have a pretty easy way to get into the bomb side, plant the bomb, you won. You know. So a lot of times you will pick up a few rounds just basically because you get the first kill.
Yep.
And the thing is that Japalenio, honestly, their CT side looked so solid. There was no mistakes. The communication was perfect. They read North every single round as well. If North was going A, they had 3 people there. If they were going B, there was 3 people there. It was almost like Japalenio played with 6 players. And but that was impressive. I don't want to talk too much about it. I'm just a little bit excited that Japalenio actually did better than people expected, and we kind of predicted it, which is fun. But then we went on to the deciding map, Dust 2, and I think here North got to show that they are the better team. There's not much to discuss. I think North belongs in the top 15, at least potentially in the top 10 of the world if they can get their things together, especially now with MSL being their in-game leader, and they actually have more structure in the team. But on Dust 2, it was quite obvious. Not much to say, really. They just closed it out. Their T side was strong. They got a 9-6 lead there, and then they could close it out fairly easily. It's just North is a more skilled team. They have more depth than Japalenio. But Japalenio, I think, just worth noting, or let's get to that actually, because we need to talk to them about them one more time, because they are going to play against the winner of the losers match, which was Sprout Movie Star Riders.
Yes.
So, Sprout Movie Star Riders, again, Movie Star Riders, I didn't expect much of them coming into the tournament, but they kind of were underwhelming anyway. They didn't look... and they lost against Sprout here, 2-0, 16-7, 16-13. Funny case here as well, they picked Vertigo and they absolutely... they sucked on it, okay? I mean, I know it's harsh, but it's the truth. Movie Star Riders didn't look good, and in upcoming weeks, if they are going to play, I really don't expect them to probably ever make the playoffs, if they don't drastically change something, because this is definitely not good enough.
Yeah, this is one of the teams that might get dropped out if the tier 2 teams that are playing in Flashpoint right now will join for week 3 or week 4. So I think Movie Star Riders are definitely one of the candidates to be dropped out.
I think so, and as much as this group is actually pretty tough because it has two very solid teams in Sprout and North, but the fashion they lost to Sprout with is still not okay. I don't think Sprout is a decent team in the scope of Home Sweet Home, but they are still far from being a favorite or anything like that. So Movie Star Riders, not good. They were out with that game, but then we had the decider game between Japalenio and Sprout. So this one, again, we favored Sprout to win, and they managed to do so. It was, however, very, very close. The first game wasn't close, though. Sprout picked Mirage. They smashed it 16-8. We went on to Inferno, where Sprout won after overtime. And this is actually a very interesting one as well. So I watched this Japalenio team. I'm a Swede myself. I'm curious to see how they are doing because these are still up-and-coming players who they don't get that much attention. So in this game, Japalenio had a 14-7 lead, by the way. Or am I right? Wait. Yes. 14-7. CT side, Inferno. Should you be able to close out when you have a 7-round map lead? The answer is yes. But the answer for Japalenio was no. Okay. I'm not sure what the hell they were doing. 14-7, then they lose 9 out of 10 rounds. Or 8 out of 9 rounds, sorry. And it goes to overtime, and then they lose 4-0 in the overtime. Absolute disaster for Japalenio. Yeah. And I thought it was sad because I really, really wanted to see a map 3 here because I think Japalenio are quite close to Sprout. I wouldn't say that Japalenio is close to some of the bigger names in this tournament, like North is, for an example. They are not on that level yet, but they are definitely good enough to challenge a team like Sprout. And
I would say if Japalenio was placed in Group B, they would be in playoffs, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I think this team is definitely good enough for that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this team in upcoming weeks, hopefully, because I think they can really do well. And especially against like the mid-tier teams of Home Sweet Home, they actually do fairly well. So, but either way, Sprout makes it to the playoff as expected. It's definitely not a surprise. They were definitely favored to do so. And I think this team is quite interesting. But I just don't think they really have the potential to do much more than they already have. They have some decent players in... Well, I think actually all of their players show that they are pretty decent players. Then Oscar should be the one who can reach, a higher level and carry the team. But doesn't look too great. And I really don't think that this team will advance far in the playoff.
Yeah. There is very much... games going to happen in Home Sweet Home. There will be full Group D today and full playoffs, 18 playoffs in the upcoming days, Saturday and Sunday. So I think we might want people to go and read our preview articles in our website. And actually, preview article for today is now linked in chat. So go and check out. It's gonna be a very interesting group because it's gonna be the group of death. Definitely Force and Virtus Pro both playing in ESL Pro League, and Gambit Youngsters having one of the biggest upcoming stars.
Definitely. I actually just want to mention that Virtus Pro and Gambit are playing right now, and they are playing Overpass, and Gambit Youngsters are in the lead with 13-11, so we might get a pretty actually big upset in the first game, which would make it quite interesting, because I definitely think, we have predicted Virtus Pro to win, and I think that's quite an obvious one looking at, the performance that Virtus Pro had in ESL Pro League, where we talked world-class teams, was far from bad. They challenged a lot of those teams. They also picked up 2 wins against OG and Tai Lu, which is respectable, I think. Against a team like Gambit Youngsters, from my point of view, I can't do anything else than have them as a favorite. But I really like this Gambit Youngsters team. They are all basically like 17, 18, or 19 years old.
Yeah.
They obviously have Shiro. I would say he's the biggest CS talent. we have seen since Simple. Maybe there's a few other names that can compete, but his numbers are crazy, and they also have a few other players who can definitely become very, very solid, world stage players, and they're super interesting. This team.
Yeah, these are the future Navi and Virtus Pro players.
Yeah, I would say so, without a doubt in my mind.
Yeah, but yeah, we are having the daily articles, both results from the previous day and preview for the upcoming day in our websites in all 3 languages around noon. So go check them out and go watch the game. I linked the Home Sweet Home stream to the chat also.
Yep. Yeah, so like Mika said, our goal is to get these articles out every single day before noon. Basically, in general, they might be up even at like 9 or 10 a.m.
Yeah.
But putting on some reserve there because we also sleep and have a life.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to believe,
we have to prepare this podcast and stuff like that. But yeah, we will be doing those articles throughout the Eastern Zone. So
all right,
go check them out. And now we move away from CS:GO and have a look for the League of Legends European Championship playoffs bracket. So we are going to have actually 3 games this weekend. Yeah, 3 games. Yeah, I wasn't sure when the 3rd game was played, but yeah, today we will be having the lower bracket game where Origin and Rogue will be facing, and tomorrow we will see the upper bracket final between Fnatic and Mad Lions, and the winner of the lower bracket match will face G2 Esports in the Sunday's best of 3 series. Best of 5, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so we are kicking it off with Origin Rogue today, huh?
Yeah. Origin is actually, in my eyes, a really big favorite here. Rogue didn't look that convincing against Misfits. I think it was kind of an upset that they are playing right now and not Misfits, but I don't think that they can compete with Origin. Origin is not that good that I was expecting them to be in the playoffs. They didn't really have a chance against Fnatic, but I think they still should win Rogue pretty easily. And I've been trying to think the way that Rogue would win this, but I just can't find a way.
Yeah, definitely the odds suggest that is also the case. The Rogue or Origin goes in as a massive favorite in this game, but well, we have this far in League of Legends, we have seen some upsets here and there, and
we'll see one here. It's always possible. What kind of odds Rogue has in this series?
Rogue are about 3.5, I think, almost.
Yeah, but it's not like 7.5 that Mad Lions has.
Oh, no, definitely.
Yeah, but I would say it's pretty much correct. I would say 3.5 to 4.0. That's in that area. I think it's sort of correct odds for Rogue. Yeah. If you get over 4, you might wanna gamble, but yeah, I still think OG is a massive favorite here.
Yeah. All right. So next series then will be. Wait, is it the Mad?
Yeah, Mad Fnatic. Yeah.
Okay, they play on Saturday. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's the highlight of the weekend Saturday game. So there will be.
The question is, can Mad Lions do it again?
Yeah, they actually can, and I think this gonna be maybe the best series we will see in this whole playoffs bracket.
Right.
If we get to Fnatic finals, it might be better, but I think these teams are playing pretty much. They have the similar play style in some areas, and they are playing explosive, but very controlled League of Legends. I think these teams will provide us very high quality League of Legends. G2 Mad Lions was very entertaining, but the quality of gameplay was not there. But I think this will have the same entertainment value, but the gameplay will be much better than Mad Lions G2 game.
Well, I'm just very. I had such a good time watching Mad Lions G2, and I'm looking forward to whatever Mad Lions does from this point on. Honestly, it's quite a fun ride they are on, and I don't know. I hope they go to the finals.
And something to highlight here. It's like Reckless is the maybe he's been the best or second best or something like that in his position in the EU for like 6 years, 7 years now, and I think the one player that is competing with him in the future will be Garci, which is Mad Lions ADC. So this will be like the young Reckless and old Reckless playing against each other. So it's gonna be very interesting matchup, and something I will be following closely. And
Cool.
and Mad Lions, they are in very good shape right now, and they will have the boost from the G2 victory, so it's gonna be really interesting. Fnatic is like little, I would say it's big favorite here, but Mad Lions definitely has something they want to show, and they did show it to G2, and they have possibility to show it to Fnatic too. But I still think that Fnatic is favorite to go to finals, but this is something you should watch.
Yep, this seems like a pretty damn awesome series, so I'll put my eyes on it tomorrow evening for sure.
Yeah.
So then that's pretty much it. We will have G2 playing the winner of Origin and
G2 is massive favorite there. Even if they lost their games against Mad Lions, they've had a week to correct their errors, and they will go in as massive favorite against either of the team that will play them. So I don't think there's not much to talk about there.
Well, the thing is this, right? At this point, it's probably going to be whoever G2 faces, even if they move forward, they will be a favorite to win any series, right? So,
I think Fnatic is the only team that will be favorite against G2.
You really think they would?
Yeah, I think that in current form, Fnatic is better team than G2.
Well, yeah, I was thinking from an odds perspective that probably wouldn't.
Well, odds perspective, G2 will be favorite in every game they play. But I think in gameplay perspective, Fnatic is better team. So there is something to make some money for if they compete each other, because I think G2 will have the smaller odds, but I think Fnatic will win that much.
Sure, fair enough. So that's about it for League of Legends.
Yep. Do you want to check out Dota, or you want to wait until Monday?
I think we'll do it like this. We will wait until the group stage is still going on. So let's talk about Dota 2 on Monday.
Yes, let's do that.
And then we can have a better look at the future of the ESL 1.
Because next week there will not be that much CSGO happening, so we will have time for Dota 2.
Sounds perfect. I am pretty busy anyway, and I will have a very full and planned day. So that's about it. That's a lot of CSGO. It's actually quite crazy how we have 4 tournaments, or 3 if you count the ESL Pro League as one, and it couldn't be any better. It's hard to keep up, but as long as there's esports to watch, I'm not gonna complain. So that's cool. Also, can just inform you that Gambit Youngsters did win against Virtus Pro in game 1, 16-11.
Very nice.
That definitely puts the group in disarray. You know, I'm not super surprised to see VP fall though. With that said, because they're a very volatile team. Yeah, it really seems like they can perform pretty decent against good teams, but they can also do this. And but with that said, obviously I did favor them. I'm not trying to excuse that. Of course, they were favored against Gambit Youngsters, but cool result. Going to be very fun to see who wins next game, and the winners game might get very spicy with Gambit Youngsters looking good. So awesome. I'm gonna head off, and I will see you on Monday, and I will see you.
Yes. Thank you very much, and we'll have a good Eastern weekend, and we'll see you again in Monday.
Yes, sir. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.